Welcome to Indie Film Podcast. For the month of August, we're going to be talking all about how indie filmmakers often have to play multiple roles.
We'd all love to be on a set with every single position filled and multiple PAs to help out when things get crazy, but that's not the reality of indie filmmaking.
Oftentimes, for indie filmmakers, your lack of budget is going to mean that cast and crew are a luxury. On that note, I'm Victoria.
And I am Chuck. Let's talk about skeleton crews. Victoria, what do you do if you have a cinematographer cancel the night before a shoot?
Well, Chuck, contrary to popular belief, I do consider myself a cinematographer. So if that happens to me, I'm picking up that camera myself and I'm shooting it. But I bet you have fun stories for us about this.
Yes, I've actually had a cinematographer cancel the night before a shoot who we were relying on. And this was somebody that we were trying to recruit for a larger project. We went above and beyond as far as Lower Gentry Studios is concerned. That's a group of filmmakers I work with, which is my brother and sister-in-law. And we had a basically test shoot set up. I completely redecorated my spare bedroom to look exactly how the cinematographer wanted to have it look. But then the night before, he said, it's not quite what I want. Then there was a potential snowstorm that was coming in that didn't actually materialize. And so the vibe was we presented with this possibility of doing this feature film together. We wanted to do a trial workout. The stipulations were laid forth by the other party that this person wanted this done, this person wanted this done, this person wanted this in the short film script and wanted to do a trial shoot.
Okay.
And so I guess the lesson there was we had to cancel the entire thing because one, it was not ready to be filmed in the potential realm that we wanted to have done.
Okay, wait, but hold on. So the cinematographer the night before tells you, well, the room doesn't look exactly the way I wanted, and there's a snowstorm, therefore I'm not coming? Like, what happened?
Let's just cancel this. We should probably preemptively cancel this. And this was something that I was basically being the lead producer on.
Okay.
So I got a personality vibe on there, which the thing is if you're working on a skeleton crew and you're going to be shooting indie films, you want to make sure that everybody gets along exceedingly well.
Ideally, yes.
Yes, because it's hard to have a shoestring budget and or no budget and also get things done in a timely manner if everybody's not working synergistically, essentially, is my experience. But the issue was that we set up this entire script, this entire story for this cinematographer, and when that person bailed, the decision was, do we carry on with this thing that we created that we're not excited about ourselves, or do we just cancel it all and find somebody else to be our cinematographer? And what we did was we ended up canceling the shoot and then prepping for our next feature film, which was We Speak. And that one did not look as good as the stuff that we released with people that specialize in cinematographers because, again, my brother was directing and running camera.
And from experience, I can say that's not a pleasant situation to be in. You don't get to give 100% of your all to either one at that point.
No, and obviously you want to have everybody's position filled for films, but sometimes if you want to get it done, you have to push forward. And that was kind of the lesson that we learned there. One, do the art that you want to do. Yeah. So that you're going to force yourself to push through when people or things fall apart around you.
Yeah.
And two, don't count on anybody that hasn't proven that they can be depended upon.
Also fair. Though I will say, impending snowstorm and knowing the year that you're talking about and being in the city during that year and knowing how bad the snow was and how many times I got snowed into my home that year, I'm going to give a little bit of flexibility there because if I had been in that cinematographer's shoes, I probably also would have said, hey, so there's supposed to be a ton more snow tomorrow. Let's check in at whatever time and just make sure the roads are clear. And if that doesn't work, what other days can we immediately fill this with that work for everybody? Like, let's have a backup plan ready to go.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, too, that if you're dealing with people that aren't problem solvers, but they like to point out problems. To me, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
When you're working with people that don't want to come up with solutions, they do enjoy pointing out issues with things, like whether it be your set decoration skills, whether it be issues with the script, but they're not presenting any solutions. Like those are the type of people that, I don't know, I get like a feeling that they're looking down their nose at me, and I get a little upset.
I don't get the feeling that they're looking down their nose at me. I get the feeling that they are not necessarily a creative problem solver. Because that was like in any industry, in any job I've ever had, whenever I was a manager, director, supervisor, whatever, that was the one thing I made sure all my staff knew was, hey, if you have a problem, please bring it to my attention. But more importantly, bring me a few options for solutions. I don't care if they're not the right one, but we do need to think about how to solve it as opposed to just be focusing on the negative of, here's a big problem.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's great, but can you come up with maybe 2 or 3 options for what would fix that problem?
Yeah, and I do want to point out, too, that indie filmmaking can beat you down pretty heavily. And so it's easy.
Nothing is a bigger, like, kick straight to your ego than indie filmmaking.
Yeah, and so sometimes it's hard for people to continue going on. This particular person, I haven't seen them do any work in probably like the last 5 to 8 years or so. So it's not like, I don't think that person was on the trajectory of continuing their work as a cinematographer. So it was extremely skilled with the camera. And that was one of those things. This was our 3rd cinematographer to bail on us for our film shoots.
At that point, I would be like, is it me? Is it not them? Is it me?
Oh, we didn't ever look at it that way, I guess. We always blamed it on them. But I think that's one way that you need to carry forward.
I think that's one way male and females, like indie filmmakers, differ. Maybe.
Oh, that could be part of it too. But we didn't let that slow us down because we already had a track record of completing things.
Yeah.
And having that experience of other filmmakers pointing out issues, pointing out obstacles to that prevent them from moving forward. And I feel like that was a frustration that we ran into early on in the Boise film scene, is that we were trying to do our best with what we had. And there were a lot of other people that were doing that too. And I'm sure others that are in filmmaking communities that are burgeoning, or even I would imagine outside of LA or New York, there's groups of filmmakers that are doing their best to try to punch through and get their art done. And it's one of those things. There are filmmakers or, self-proclaimed filmmakers that will point out all the reasons why things can't work out and why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
And then there's the group of people that punch through.
And they're like, this is a problem, but...
And everything always falls in that binary of filmmakers.
It's either or. There is no in-between. Yeah, that's fair.
But,
well, okay.
So I guess we should probably talk about skeleton crew, because you and I have both been put in those situations where people don't show up and yet the project gets finished.
Yes.
And that's, I think, the important thing is to limp through it. And I don't know, I think it's better to be embarrassed by something that you created than to not create it. What do you think?
I disagree.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Being embarrassed about your past work, I think, is a good sign.
Yeah.
I think that means you've grown and your standards are continuously growing and climbing higher. And that is a good thing. I do think there is that whole don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right?
Okay.
Because nothing is ever going to be perfect. And you have to understand that sometimes things are good enough. But I've been on projects as, a co-creator where it's not good. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And I would rather go back and fix it, even if it means missing a deadline. I would rather go back, fix it, do it right, make it better, than release it in it really sucks and we know it sucks and we're embarrassed about it, but here you go anyway.
Okay. I guess I could have clarified that question a little bit. So every time you create something, I feel like there are steps in filmmaking that you start with the script.
Yeah.
You want to be happy with the script.
Yes.
So
Yes. Do not think that you will fix your script on the fly during shooting. Good call.
no, don't do that. And sometimes you can do some stuff. There's been some local stuff released where there wasn't necessarily a script, but the actors had history in improv.
Yeah.
So you still want to have a character outline, motivations, things like that. If you're good enough on the fly to be able to film that, then, well, fine, do it. But you want to start with an idea or a script.
Yeah.
And be confident in that, or at least as confident as you can be. And then, move on to shot listing, move on to the production, make sure that you're happy every step of the way. But you are going to run into problems and you will run into weaknesses.
Yes.
And don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
But also, when you release things, it doesn't matter how much education you've had or how much time you've had on sets. If you're fulfilling roles that you haven't done before, or working with a skeleton crew, extending yourself greatly, then, and you're in charge of it start to finish, you're going to have areas that need improvement no matter what.
Yes.
And some of those things you can't go back and fix very well in post.
No.
So,
no, especially for some projects that I'm thinking of specifically, it would have required reshooting a lot. And
did you release them?
It did end up getting submitted to the festival for which it was created, much to my protesting.
Oh.
But it did.
You got it finished.
It got done.
Nice.
It got done and it got submitted. And now I don't believe is visible anywhere else. And I certainly won't be sharing it anywhere.
Well, hey, I mean, that's totally fine.
And I know absolutely that I am very responsible for a lot of the mistakes in it. I know this. I'm very aware. There were a lot of things in it I would have changed and would have done better and wanted to. But hey, now those are mistakes I pay a lot more attention to.
Yes.
The first time around.
Do you think actually having had that project seen by other people makes you more mentally aware of preventing those mistakes specifically? Do you think if you had hidden that project, do you think it would have made any difference as far as...
No, I think it would still haunt me.
Okay. Well, good. So, hey, go out there.
But to be fair, I'm also a firm believer that I am probably going to be more critical of anything I make because I know what was in my head, and what exists in my head is just the cinematic masterpiece versus...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Especially, if you're learning all the different aspects of lighting, sound design,
Man, gaffing is so hard.
Camera placement,
Yeah.
all those aspects that you hear and see in a large budget production that maybe when you get started, you aren't 100% aware of how all that works.
No, I will never understand gaffing, ever.
Yeah.
I won't. I'm going to keep learning and keep trying and keep working with really talented gaffers so that I can hopefully glean some of that knowledge from them. But no, I'm not. I would never call myself a gaffer.
Yeah, you got to practice though.
You
so
do.
I guess that's kind of what we're talking about today. We got really sidetracked.
That was a bit of a rabbit hole.
I
So
know.
back to Skeleton Crews.
Let's talk. Should we talk about famous things because that tends
Yes.
to be what people want to hear us talk about is just famous films and
These big films, not the little indie stuff that you're working on.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about favorite films that operated on Skeleton Crews?
Yeah, I
do you
have
got?
one that you're going to hate.
Nice. Give it to me. Twilight.
Ew, no.
I'm just kidding. Of course, that didn't have a skeleton crew.
I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Wasn't that like grossly over budgeted?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I actually have no idea about the budget of Twilight. Please don't
don't
come
either.
after me, internet fans. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My favorite example is one you're not gonna love because it's a Duplass film.
Oh, nice. Well, I don't have any issues with the Duplass brothers films. I just
Yeah.
have an issue with the way they present themselves as bootstraps.
When it's
Filmmakers.
more like
Not quite.
not silver spoon, but certainly like gilded shoelaces or gilded bootstraps,
Yes.
if you will.
Mhm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But Creep
Oh, okay.
is a delightful film, which actually surprises me because I hate found footage style movies.
Okay.
But Creep is one, and they did it really well. So Creep is creepy is the best way to describe that, which is a little bit of a letdown, sorry. But
Good name for a movie then.
it is so well fitting, right? So there's two actors in the whole thing in this cabin in the woods.
Okay.
There's another voice actor, and she is credited as such, Katie Asselton.
Okay.
Selton. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce her name, and I feel bad about that now. But I dug around so much because they are on record as saying there were 3 people on this crew.
Oh, nice.
And it's found footage stuff, and 2 of them were the actors.
Okay.
Because you had, was it Mark Duplass and Patrick Bryce, who both wrote it.
Okay.
And they're the lead actors in it, and they're carrying around this video camera within this cabin, like interviewing this guy.
Okay.
Or Patrick Bryce is interviewing Mark Duplass's character.
Okay.
So they had Jason Blum as a producer.
Okay.
They do not say if he was on set or not. According to IMDb, there's an uncredited PA, personal assistant to Mr. Blum.
Okay.
Blum or Blum?
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'd say both.
And I'm like, because I've heard Blumhouse, but I've also heard Blumhouse, and I don't.
Is it UM?
It's UM. So
Blum. I'm going with
feels
Blum.
right, but I don't know.
It's a producer. Nobody cares about them anyway. Woof. Actually, I have a joke about that later on from Ren and Stimpy. Go ahead.
Leave it to Ren and Stimpy jokes. Thank you for bringing us back to the 90s for a minute. That's pretty nice.
Of course.
Okay. But there had to be a sound person because the sound was good. But on the IMDb credits, there are 6 people listed in the sound department.
So they might have fixed it, or they could have put lavs on, possibly, or done a lot of voiceover. But if it's found footage, they might have just added stuff in post.
I don't know, but none of them was listed as a location sound mixer or location record. Nobody was location sound. Everybody was post sound.
Right on.
So I don't actually know who the fuck the 3rd crew member was. I can't figure it out.
Right on.
There were a lot of people in post. There were a couple of producers, things like that. There were a bunch of marketing people because they knew they needed to do marketing for it.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, their budget was $500 for that film.
Oh, wow.
I mean, well done.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was the production budget then?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, dang. That's cheap. But then how did they get the marketing stuff behind it?
Well, I'm assuming that took more money, and that's where more of the producers come in for sure.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to jump around before I talk about mine because we did have a question that we wanted to talk about roles that are surprisingly easy but get too much credit.
Oh, yeah?
In Hollywood. And that's where I wanted to point out producer.
Oh, my God.
Because this is a quote. This is Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy. He was making a cartoon, and Ren couldn't find where he needed to fit in as far as in this cartoon production.
Because he wasn't going to be drawing it. He
doesn't have any creative thoughts or anything like that. So Stimpy suggests that he become the producer. And Ren says, "What's that?" And Stimpy says, "The producer is the guy who tells the artist what to do and later makes all the changes. And then when the cartoon's done, he takes all the credit."
You know what?
So that's what I think of when I think of the typical quote unquote producer. But also, yes, in indie film, you need a quality producer to do the business end.
I'm going to take that not personally, coming off of being a producer on a short recently. Thanks.
No problem. But a lot of times, people might not be aware of this, but a quote unquote executive producer might just be somebody who gives a whole bunch of money to the film, so that their son or daughter can get a small role in it, or whatever the case may be.
Or they want the dividends off the back end, or they're looking to get into the Producers Guild or whatever. There are a lot of reasons people may or may not give money to films. And you know what? I say that's great. Rich people, keep giving your money to
Absolutely.
indie filmmakers.
But do it to support the artist.
No, I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
The money is going to spend the same. Just give it to the filmmaker.
Yeah.
Okay, well then fine. You know what I am going to say if we're jumping down to that question?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to say it. The director.
Director's overrated.
I think the director is overrated as someone that has directed films. I think if you have a quality assistant director, you have a really solid cast, your DP's talented, and your production designer is killer.
Yeah.
Your job is so easy. All you have to do is just make sure that the actors do what you want. And if they're talented and you know how to express yourself, that's going to be real easy. Because your AD is handling all the day-to-day and the paperwork and all the chaos.
Yeah, but you're not tyrannical. I've been on set with you, so you just kind of put things in motion and let them go. Some directors, I would say, and I was going to bring this up as far as skeleton crews are concerned, Stanley Kubrick was reported to be pretty tyrannical, is how I would describe it.
I feel like that might be putting it lightly based on what I've heard. I guess I've never worked with him.
No, he's He was, I don't know if he was not dead before I was born, but he was definitely dead before I got into filmmaking. And so he did usually work with a skeleton crew. And what that allowed him was more time to make the films because he would get those larger budgets and then he could do a whole bunch of shooting. And if you look at a lot of his movies, like, just The Shining, for example, it was large location that obviously they had to rent, but minimal actors for each scene.
Yeah.
And he also used minimal crew.
But he also did 127 takes of one particular scene.
Yeah, which actually I guess I've heard contrary evidence to that where it's not like the single. Sometimes actors confuse a shot versus a scene.
Oh.
So he might have been doing, because you can easily have a scene that they have to repeat over and over again, but you have it set up with like 8 different shots, in which case like 10 takes per shot is not that much, and then 80 is not a lot.
No, but I guess the way I've always heard it was it was the one shot was 127 takes.
Oh, okay.
And I want that to be true because I want to imagine Kubrick as this tyrannical, sees himself almost as a demigod kind of person.
Oh, well, I guess like
don't ruin that for me.
Yeah, right on. Well, I guess famously that's what people's impression of him is.
Yes.
But he did work on a skeleton crew, and I bet that his view as far as the importance of a director varies greatly to yours, but I'm assuming it's because of the way that he directs is vastly different.
Maybe that's it. Maybe my experience with directors is like, I don't know. The other people are running around on set doing a whole lot. And if all I'm doing on set is directing, I feel bad.
Oh.
Because I'm like, I'm not doing that. Gaffer's taking care of lights. The DP setting up a shot. I'm giving my input and my thoughts on it. I'm talking to the actors, but I love what they're doing with the characters. So I'm just here.
Open to the different possibilities that might come out, rather than being very specific on exactly how you want to have everything delivered.
Yeah.
So there's wiggle room there, but yeah. So that was my example of famous films. Famous filmmakers worked with skeleton crew, and then actually my brother Elliot informed me that P.T. Anderson was inspired by Kubrick, and if you actually look at his films from Phantom Thread onward, there is no cinematographer because he is the cinematographer, and you can't even see a cinematographer credit if you go through the IMDb pages.
Oh, nice. Okay, so what films would that include then?
I don't know. I forgot to write them all down. And I don't want to misquote because God forbid I say the wrong thing and then turn this into a vertical video on the internet and people flip out at me about not doing my research and call me mean names.
They will.
Like a maroon. Oh, wait. Is that how that's pronounced? I don't know. So do you have any ideas or have any examples of overstaffed films that you want to share that you thought were like needlessly overstaffed?
So here's my problem.
Yeah.
I was looking for films that were horrifically overstaffed.
Okay.
Or maybe not horrifically. Well, I was searching for the word horrifically overstaffed, which, by the way, Google did not love me calling it that. So maybe that helped change my opinion too. But I found a couple of examples that I really thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's bad.
Okay. Well, then go ahead.
So first one, and I know this is a little bit of a twist for us because it's animated, but 2010, Tangled from Disney.
Okay. I haven't seen that one.
You're missing out. It's a really good one. Oh my gosh, for once in my life, I've seen a movie that somebody else has not.
There we go.
This makes me very happy. Anyway, it's really cute. And apparently was in the works since 1996.
Okay.
Was when they started development on it.
Dang.
And the story went through all sorts of different iterations, and they were drawing out different animated options and things. They had to build new computer models just to make her hair work.
Okay.
And actually act like hair, which I've also heard something similar for Merida in Brave, which is another Disney film, the curly redheaded princess.
Okay.
They had to design new computer models to be able to handle the physics of her hair.
Okay.
Which is cool. Weird, but cool. However, Tangled had 600 animators working on it for the final product that was actually released. That's 600 animators. And for perspective, because I needed it, because I thought that 600 felt like a lot, but I don't actually animate, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
Toy Story was another film that I thought was a really big, impressive jump in animation because it was
Absolutely.
the first really in-depth CGI that we saw. That one had 27 animators.
Oh, okay. So this is a lot more.
A lot more animators.
20 times more animators than
Yes.
Toy Story. Okay.
Exactly. Which is
I guess I need
wild.
to watch this movie. What is the story
The
like?
story's Rapunzel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Rapunzel.
Oh.
There's a lot more lore to it. You can go down some rabbit holes. I will not because
Okay.
Disney fans will take care of that for me. But
Yeah.
of
No,
like,
let's do it. I love it when people leave fun comments.
well, there's like this theory that Elsa and Anna are kind of actually related to like some of the family members from Rapunzel and like that whole kingdom, and that's how the parents got lost. And then that goes down a rabbit hole of like Tarzan, and there is so much weird stuff about Disney things. I'm not going to go that much in depth on. Anyway,
Right on.
600 animators versus 27 animators. So to me, that felt like a very large number. But the movie's really good.
Okay.
So was it actually overdone? I can't say that feels horrifically overdone, and I don't know what their workloads were.
Yeah.
So I would need to know somebody who worked on the project to know if that was overstaffed or no, the perfect amount.
Right on.
And then the other examples that I found were pre-CGI extras, right? So Ben-Hur, Cleopatra,
Okay.
Spartacus, Gandhi.
Yeah.
They had literally thousands of extras for these films because they needed big crowds.
Yeah.
And CGI wasn't there. And I honestly think that's kind of a good thing too. That's paying more actors and getting more people experience and getting more people on set.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time feeling like that was really, really bloated and awful. But at the same time, if we can start bringing down some of those costs of production with things like CGI, is that going to be better long-term for the film industry? Because as we know, Hollywood, Atlanta, all the big major studios right now are not doing so hot. And maybe it's because we spend too much money on this stuff. But I don't know if that's where the bloat in the budget is.
Yeah. I actually don't know either because I don't have the luck or history of having worked with a lot of budget. So notoriously overstaffed.
Yes.
I looked up online. Possibly the longest credit list in film history is Iron Man 3.
Oh, that tracks. That tracks so hard.
So
Yes.
I'll just say Iron Man 3, was that movie necessary? Did it need to exist in this universe? In the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I don't know. But
Honestly, probably not. Like, that was not the strongest Iron Man film. In my opinion, it really wasn't. I did not like what they did with the Mandarin. That was the one with the Mandarin, right?
I don't even remember. I do not like MCU stuff
Oh, that's
really
right.
at all.
You-
I kind
you
of
don't count.
I kind of despise it.
It's heartbreaking.
Well, it's kind of like when I remember what was the book series about the kids that would kill each other, Hunter's Game, hunting.
Oh, Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when those books came out, I was, I don't know, like in my 30s, and I got admonished by my coworkers for not reading them. And I felt like I just pointed out that those are written for 5th and 6th graders. So why are you admonishing me for not reading these Hunger Games books? Plus,
I don't think the target audience for Hunger Games is 5th and 6th grade. I think it's young adult, which is like high school, like junior high to high school.
Well, maybe. But I'm just saying that,
also-
like, you know, the reading level was low, and this was at a counseling facility. So these were master's level, you know, master's graduates that read things at a, you know, like 8th grade level. And
Chuck, it sounds like you're shaming people for what they're reading, and that's not a good thing.
No, they started the shame. They started the shame.
They were
at
putting
me.
it on. They were
So-
putting it on you for not reading, though.
Yeah.
Shaming someone for not reading is never good. You shouldn't shame people for it. But at the same time, like,
Having
did you
not
just
read those
tell
books.
them what books you were reading and what books you did enjoy, and that you prefer
No,
nonfiction?
you always just bully the bully. That's how you get it to. That's how you get it to stop. And on that note, I'm going to have to get back into the comments on when people are calling me different colors. But anyway, so Iron Man 3, MCU. I think my initial point was people that are upset about my lack of appreciation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Guess what? I feel like that's a Saturday morning cartoon. So Like,
and what's wrong with that?
there's
What's
nothing-
wrong with being
there's
so
nothing wrong with-
excited about your childhood? And what's wrong with just desperately wanting a hero? Because Lord knows the world doesn't actually have them. So how cool would it be to exist in a place where like there are real heroes?
Maybe it's a societal addiction that we need to address because all the money then gets funded into more and more Marvel and not quite DC. I don't know what the hell they screwed up. Probably because the characters weren't as good, but
Yeah.
they just messed all those Supermans out now. But
I actually have a theory about that.
yeah.
My theory is people tend to, because obviously Superman is #1 comic book character ever, and then I think Batman's #2.
Okay.
So like technically DC owns the properties.
Yeah.
But my theory is that when watching a movie, people want something that they can kind of like cling to. And Marvel heroes, more often than not, tend to get their powers as opposed to being born with them,
Yeah.
which means that technically it could happen to you too.
Right on.
It's like the people waiting for their Hogwarts letter, or the people that are, you're waiting for your superpowers or your moment or your big change thing.
Yeah.
So I think that that's just, they're a little more hopeful.
Right on. Well, I will point out that the first Iron Man movie, I didn't mind too much because it had a story.
It was a
But
solid story.
Subsequently, I've watched some Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and you don't have to give the character any backstory. It assumes that the audience already knows it. The action scenes are not very well thought out in my mind, and it's just kind of like, it feels like a whole bunch of marketing people that come up with bullet points for a film idea. They get everyone excited about it. They put it into whatever Marvel Cinematic Universe film creation box, and then it just shits out the next film. And that's how I feel about it. So
You know what?
maybe I
Actually,
need to
those,
watch.
No, those are solid points.
I watched the Thanos thing because literally I was teaching 5th grade and none of my
needed to.
students would shut up about Thanos.
Yeah.
And so I watched that and I was completely uninspired. Like the writing was terrible.
Yeah.
Like everything followed exactly how you knew it was supposed to. There were no surprises. All it was just visualizations of these heroes that were going through ebbs and flows without any real.
It's definitely
push.
more of a payoff for the fans.
Yeah.
It is. It's there for the fans.
And if you're a fan of that, that's great.
Yeah. Enjoy
That's
your fandom.
that's
Lean
totally
in.
fine.
Have fun.
Yeah, but don't confuse it for anything more than popcorn and entertainment. Like, I'm not going to shame people that watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians if they understand like what it is.
Yeah,
know?
as long as you own it, like you know that this is, though I do have issues with reality TV as a whole and what it's done to the entertainment industry. I
Yeah.
actually think that has been a big player in causing some problems, especially around budget, because reality TV was so much cheaper and they weren't paying writers and they weren't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
Yeah, that was kind of
I
a
have
downfall of
thoughts.
society. Thanks, MTV. Should have stuck to music videos.
Should have kept everyone on that tour bus. We didn't care.
We should probably actually just kind of like skip some of these questions since
I
we're going to be
think so.
talking about these points when we have our guests that are going to be coming on
Yes.
in the next 4 episodes, which will be a lot of fun because we brought some other people from the Boise film community that wear too many hats.
They are known for wearing an exorbitant amount of hats, and they are very interesting people. I'm so excited for you to get to hear
Yeah.
from a lot of them.
And we'll have to share some of our own anecdotes at that point of us wearing too many hats because
Yeah.
we kind of like subverted that a little bit in this conversation. But I had a good chat with you.
Well, thank you. I had a good chat too. Hopefully we didn't anger too many Disney or Marvel fans, which is now the same thing,
Oh,
which
I
also
love it.
feels like a problem.
Yeah, just call me a maroon if you need to.
Oh, actually, I do have a quick dive update.
Yes.
We're
Oh,
officially past a lot of the monthly film festivals where it's done really, really well, which is surprising,
cool.
but great. I'm happy about it. But it is going to be playing at the She/Her Fest in Seattle,
Nice.
which is delightful. I don't know if it's an award winner yet, but they only selected 6 films. It's their inaugural year on the festival. Pretty stoked on it. And also got accepted to the Portland Under the Stars Festival in August, which is the sister of like the LA Under the Stars, Austin Under the Stars. It's their first year doing it in Portland. And I'm really excited that it got
right
accepted
on.
to that one too. So that'll be fun.
Well, congratulations. And
Thank
for
you.
those that aren't aware, Dive is the short film that you wrote and directed and
Yes.
produced all on your own in February, March.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So you're doing the festival circuit. You're trying to do the traditional, like go to small festivals and get notoriety and then turn it into a feature film slowly. So let's
stay tuned.
Yeah. We're all following along with that and following along on the adventure. And hopefully we get to see a success story. But
that'd be fun.
If it's a failure, like we're used to it at this juncture anyway. So whatever.
I'm not worried about having another failure under my belt.
It's not going to stop us.
No.
On that note, should we end with a succinct farewell?
I think that sounds great.
Excellent. Bye.
Bye.